Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we really dig into the sources you share with us to pull out the key insights.
That's right.
Today, we're jumping into the life and the incredible music of Gerry Mulligan.
Ah, Mulligan, a giant.
Truly. A name that's just, synonymous with cool jazz, that smoother, kind of more laid-back sound compared to bebop.
Right.
And nobody played the baritone sax quite like him.
Definitely not. He made it sing.
So our mission today is to unpack how this one guy, really through innovation and these amazing collaborations, didn't just shape a genre, but maybe a whole way of thinking about music. He left a huge mark.
We've got some great source material here. It covers everything from his earliest days, the influences, right up to the groundbreaking music and, the legacy he left behind. It's quite a story.
Okay, so let's unpack this from the very beginning then.
Yeah.
Gerry Mulligan, born April 6, 1927, Queens, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like music was just everywhere for him growing up. His mom played piano, his dad the saxophone.
Yeah, that early exposure seems absolutely crucial. And the family moved around quite a bit, which actually broadened his influences.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, like in Marion, Ohio, our sources mention his nanny, Lily Rose. She had a player piano.
Oh.
And it had rolls by Fatzwaller. So he's hearing this stride piano, and she apparently also housed black musicians traveling through because the motels wouldn't take them.
Wow. So he's getting this incredibly diverse musical input really young.
Exactly. It wasn't just one thing. It seems like it really fed into his developing musical ear, maybe even planted the seeds for his later interest in counterpoint and different textures. He wasn't stuck in one track.
That makes a lot of sense. Puts his later work in context. So what about formal training?
Right, that started around 14. He picks up the saxophone. Studies with some pretty big names, actually, like Gil Evans and Johnny Mandel.
And arranging, too, right? Even back then. I read this great anecdote.
Oh, the lover arrangement.
Yeah. A nun confiscated it in Catholic school because of the title.
It's brilliant. Shows how early he was thinking about shaping the music, not just playing it.
So these early experiences, arranging for guys like Tommy Tucker, Elliott Lawrence, how does that feed into his unique sound, that focus on melody and harmony?
Well, I think it was vital. Moving to New York City in January 46, that was key. He started arranging for Gene Krupa's band, which was kind of flirting with bebop.
Okay, the faster, more complex stuff.
Right. And then for Claude Thornhill's orchestra, which had the smoother, more textural sound. So he's working in these different contexts, learning how to voice instruments, how to reshape tunes. He was already adding his own stamp.
Which leads us, I guess, straight into that really pivotal moment.
Yeah.
September 1948, Miles Davis.
The nine-piece band, yeah.
And Mulligan wasn't just in the band playing bari sax. He was crucial to the whole concept, a key arranger.
Absolutely central. He wrote and arranged 3 tunes himself, Rocker, Venus de Milo, and Djere, which was his own nickname, actually.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he arranged 3 others. Plus, he was one of only 4 guys who played on every single track for what eventually became the Birth of the Cool album.
So interesting, the collaborative genius there.
It really is. And think about it, the sound, which we often call West Coast jazz.
Right, laid back.
Exactly. It was actually born right there on the East Coast, in New York.
Huh, that's counterintuitive.
Totally. And the initial reception, pretty frosty. Critics weren't quite sure what to make of it.
It's wild, isn't it? Something so influential now was kind of met with a shrug back then.
Definitely ahead of its time. Took a while for people to catch up, to appreciate its subtlety, its, coolness.
So keeping that innovative spirit going, Mulligan heads west. Los Angeles, early 1952.
Right. Starts playing at The Hague, a jazz club there.
And then this sort of accidental thing happens. The piano gets removed.
Yeah, the club owner took out the grand piano, apparently, leaving Mulligan with this dilemma. But what a dilemma to have. It sparked this incredible idea.
The Pianoless Quartet.
The Pianoless Quartet, just trumpet, baritone, sax, bass, and drums.
Baker on trumpet, right?
Chet Baker, Carson Smith on bass, Chico Hamilton on drums. And taking the piano out, well, it changed everything.
How so? Exactly. What did removing the piano do?
It freed them up harmonically. Without the piano comping chords all the time, they had more space. They had to create the harmony themselves through their improvisations.
More interaction between the horns.
Exactly. It led to this amazing improvised counterpoint, like multiple melodies weaving around each other. Baker's lyrical style was just perfect for it, meshing with Mulligan's sound. Mulligan called it an almost psychic rapport.
Wow. And it worked commercially too, didn't it?
Well, yeah. The Hague gigs were sellouts. Richard Bach recorded them for his new label, Pacific Jazz, and those records were major hits. It really launched both Mulligan and Baker.
But that initial magic didn't last long, sadly.
No. Mulligan got arrested on narcotics charges in mid-'53. Spent 6 months in prison.
That's tough. And the addiction issues.
Yeah.
They affected both him and Baker.
They did. It's a really significant part of the story, mentioned in the sources. Both struggled, but Mulligan eventually managed to overcome his addiction. Baker, tragically, didn't.
And that impacted their relationship long term.
Profoundly. After Mulligan got out, Baker apparently declined to reunite the original quartet, citing financial reasons, though maybe it was more complex than that. They did play together again occasionally over the years, but that initial dynamic was fractured.
It really highlights Mulligan's resilience, though, to come back from that.
Absolutely, a testament to his character.
So after the initial quartet, he didn't just rest on his laurels. He kept experimenting with that format.
Yeah, he brought in other great players like valve trombonist Bob Brookmeyer, who was another fantastic collaborator. But Mulligan was thinking bigger, too.
Right, the concert jazz band, spring of 1960.
Exactly. This was his way of sort of revisiting the big band sound, but making it more flexible, more modern, not just a nostalgia trip.
So smaller than a traditional big band.
Generally, yeah. Maybe 10, 11 pieces sometimes. Enough for rich textures, but still allowing for that improvisational freedom he loved. Often kept the pianoless rhythm section, too.
Still chasing that open sound.
Always. And that band toured, recorded. It showed he was constantly pushing, experimenting with the instrumentation.
And his collaborations weren't just within his own bands. He played with seemingly everyone.
The list is incredible. You mentioned Dave Brubeck earlier. They had a really fruitful partnership from 68 to 73.
Two very different stylists finding common ground.
Yeah, imagine that pairing. And then playing with Thelonious Monk, bringing his baritone into Monk's world.
That must have been something.
A real meeting of minds. Plus Stan Getz, Billie Holiday, Louis Armstrong, Count Basie, Charles Mingus. I mean, it's a who's who.
And he recorded with Judy Holliday, too, his partner at the time.
Yeah, Holiday with Mulligan. Shows his range extended beyond just instrumental jazz.
It's amazing versatility. But then he takes another leap, doesn't he, into classical music, orchestral stuff.
Right. Which is pretty unusual for a jazz musician of that era, especially a horn player known for improvisation. He didn't just dabble, he commissioned major works.
Like concertos for baritone sax.
Exactly. He commissioned Frank Proto's Saxophone Concerto, Harry Friedman's works like Celebration, and the Sax Chronicles. He was actively trying to build a serious classical repertoire for his instrument.
Did he compose orchestral pieces himself, too?
He did. In 1984, he finished and performed his own commission, Entente for baritone saxophone and orchestra. Played it with the Philharmonia Venetia in Italy first, then later with the London Symphony Orchestra, the Israel Philharmonic.
Wow. That's serious commitment, bridging those worlds.
Truly. Showing the Barry sax could stand up in a purely classical context.
So heading towards his later years, he obviously kept playing jazz, too.
Oh, absolutely. He stayed very active.
Yeah.
He even revisited Birth of the Cool in '92 with an album called A Rebirth of the Cool after Miles Davis had passed away.
A nice tribute.
Yeah. And his final recording was Dragonfly in 1995.
And looking beyond the music, the sources paint a picture of him as a person, too.
They do. Known for being kind, generous. He advocated for social justice, set up the Gerry Mulligan Foundation, married 3 times, had a son, Reed. And again, that triumph over addiction is a big part of his personal story. Resilience is the word that keeps coming up.
And the accolades just kept coming, didn't they? The legacy.
Astonishing, really. He won a Grammy in '81 for Walk on the Water. Birth of the Cool got into the Grammy Hall of Fame in '82.
But that downbeat poll statistic, that's just mind-blowing.
Isn't it? Winning the Reader's Poll for Outstanding Baritone Saxophonist for 42 years straight. 42! From 1953 right up to 1995.
Unbelievable consistency and respect.
It really speaks volumes. And after he died in '96, his library, his music, and even one of his gold-plated baritone saxophones went to the Library of Congress.
Where people can actually see it.
Yeah, the sax is on permanent display, a tangible piece of his legacy. Plus, he popped up in films too, like I Want to Live and the great documentary Jazz on a Summer's Day, even composed film scores.
1,000 Clowns, yeah. He really did cover a lot of ground.
Multi-talented, no question.
So, wrapping this up, we've traced this incredible journey from those diverse early influences through the groundbreaking Birth of the Cool, that Revolutionary pianist quartet, the concert jazz band, the amazing
And
collaborations.
even into the orchestral world.
He just kept pushing, kept redefining
He
things.
really did. He wasn't just playing the horn. He was thinking constantly about structure, about arrangement, about creating space, but also finding freedom within that structure. That's the key, I think.
And balance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whether it was stripping things down with the quartet or building them up with the orchestra, he was always learning, adapting, exploring new combinations.
It feels like he showed that real mastery isn't just about technique,
Yeah.
you know. It's also about having the guts to break the mold.
Yeah, to strip away what's expected, like taking out the piano, to find new ways of interacting, new kinds of freedom.
Which leads us with maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Well, Mulligan demonstrated that sometimes you find the most creative freedom by removing something familiar, by setting new constraints.
That's a great point, his pianist quartet moment.
Right. So the question maybe is, how can you take inspiration from that? Where in your own work or your passions could you find your own pianist quartet moment? Try a different approach, strip something away, and maybe unlock a whole new level of creativity.
That's a fantastic question to ponder. Finding freedom by redefining the boundaries. A very Mulligan way to think.